that level of atmosphere before. Lucas Bergvall was very, very quiet. And Galatasaray have supreme quality up front. Supreme quality. They got a couple of goals, and we were on the back foot. Got an amazing goal with a wonderful pass from Archie Gray, picking out Brennan Johnson, who set up Will Lancashire, who's for his first ever European goal. But dreams turned to nightmares as he got sent off later in the game.
Yeah.
But for me, the game was really summed up by the match substitutions at half-time. Absolutely shambolic substitutions, taking our two most attacking players off and replacing them with midfielders when really you should be replacing... This is one of the things I have been complaining about. Square pegs in triangle holes. You need square pegs in square holes and round pegs in round holes. We needed goals. We were 3-1 down and you're taking off our two goal threats. And then we were struggling for the rest of the game. And then until Bentancur comes on, Ansar comes on, we get a bit of joy in the middle of the park, and we looked like we could press them to try and get a result in that game. But shocking substitutions for me, absolutely shambolic.
Johnny, your overall thoughts?
I was worried before the game. You know, we all spoke about the front three, and I think it was a huge mistake from Ange not to put a little bit more steel in the middle of the park there to give the back four some protection, and it showed in that first half, Brian. And I thought, you know what, okay, we're 3-1 down. He's going to make the subs at the half time. I was confident that we were going to see a Bentancur and a Kulu, or somebody and Kulu, and I was shocked at those the two subs, because the whole shape of our team was wrong. In fact, we were so bad at the beginning. They could have scored 3 goals in the opening 3 or 4 minutes, and there was no directive from the side of the pitch, and we looked clueless. And you know, I felt really, really sorry for Will Lancashire, because he got his second chance of the game, probably only the second or third time he got the ball in the entire game. He only had 7 touches in that first half. And I thought he was fouled. He didn't get... The referee said he wasn't fouled, and in his frustration to come back and get the ball, he made a foul. It wasn't I don't think it was a yellow card. I thought it was a very harsh sending off. But they became a bit complacent, Galatasaray, and you know, we came into the game, but I think the game was lost at that moment, and I think Ange needs to look at himself. Look, you know, I've complained about Ange's not doing the subs and not making the wrong subs, and I've praised him when he's made the right ones, and he has done that. But we've seen after Crystal Palace, the shambolic performance against Crystal Palace, where we were overrun again and again and again in the middle of the park, and we couldn't string a pass together. Those 2 games against Manchester City and Aston Villa, where we played with the double pivot and a creative in the middle, it worked beautifully. It just worked. It was all sublime and it all fitted. And today we revisited that Crystal Palace game where we couldn't string a pass together. We couldn't get anything going. And I just felt sorry in the end when Bentancur, like you said, when Bentancur and Papasar came on with Kulu, we looked more of a shape. But why did you take off? We play down the flanks. Why would you take off Sonny and Johnson? Did they have a lot of the ball? No. What was the reason they didn't get the ball? Because the midfield couldn't control the ball. So had he taken off, in my opinion, Bergvall and Maddison, and put on Papasar and Kulu, or Bentancur and Kulu, that would have been my first choice, I think we could have come back into that game.
Absolutely.
I really do.
I agree with you.
I really do, because I think, yes, we rode the storm in that first half and it was a tidal wave, but we had that opportunity, we missed it, and we paid the price.
Okay, so let's break this down just first half bit by bit. Obviously, 1-0 down very, very early. Corner, or was it? No, it was a free kick, wasn't it? That was headed out, and obviously the half volley.
It's a fantastic strike.
Fantastic finish. I actually thought it was a lot better, and Fraser Forster couldn't have done any better, or Vicario wouldn't have. But then on the replay, you can see
the legs, the feet.
The feet was a little bit slow, but the last thing we always say, you obviously don't want to concede early, but a hostile place like this, it was the worst thing you could expect or want. I mean, it was a great finish, wasn't it, Ben?
Yeah, it was. We talked about throughout the game how good their forwards are.
Yep.
They get in majority of top sides in Europe how good their front three is. Mertens and Osimhen played for Napoli for many, many years. And, of course, you've got Icardi, who played for sides like Inter and PSG.
Yep.
You don't give those boys chances, and that first goal was an absolutely unbelievable strike.
Yeah.
Yes, I think if we had Vicario in goal, I think he would have saved it. Personally,
Yeah, I
think Forster didn't move his feet quick enough because, let's face it, he's at the end of his career. He can't move his feet as quickly as he was when he was 27. But
Correct.
I think we could have played Vic today. I think it was no massive risk to play it, but it was an unbelievable strike. But I think it could have been saved. But it's if buts and maybes, isn't it?
Correct.
It's if buts and maybes.
Correct. And then Johnny, obviously, we get our equaliser. A well carved out goal, Archie Gray.
Fantastic.
Passing that ball, finding Brennan Johnson's run, who had a nice eye for Lancashire to finally open his account as a Spurs professional.
Yeah.
And he took his goal very, very well. And it looked like we might have been or we were under siege, but it looked like that may have weathered the storm and given Spurs an entrance to start dominating the game. But talk to us about the goal, because obviously you're a big fan of Will.
Yeah, I mean, listen, look, it was a false dawn, unfortunately. You know, we rode the storm. Suddenly we got the break, and look, Lancashire is really strong in the air. As I said, he's like a butterfly swimmer. He's got very big shoulders, but the thing I love about him is he knows when to arrive in the box. It's instinctive. You know, Gary Lineker didn't score any goals from outside the box. He was always, but you know, he's just 19 now, I think. Will, I think he's got a really big future. But we did him a disservice tonight. I think the whole midfield was a shambles, and it did a disservice to Son and Johnson.
Yeah, you missed out one person. You can't say the whole midfield.
No. But what I meant was, you know, I don't think with all the greatest will in the world, Bissouma could stop that flood on his own. And he tried his best. He did try his best. Yeah. But how many passes broke down? I don't want to keep going on and on and on about James Maddison, but James Maddison there was the senior in that midfield.
Yep.
And he didn't show the way. He was going down too easy, couldn't hold on to the ball. Bergvall struggled. He did struggle.
There's a right time to introduce these players, but you look. What I did want to talk about very quickly before we wrap up the first half is you look at it. We've all been speaking about it. They have Osimhen, they have Icardi, they have players that have won championships. They have played in the big tournaments. They have played, and obviously let's not take anything away. The Galatasaray crowd, we always knew, were going to have a huge part to play in this. Yeah. But they have winners throughout that team. Yeah. Whether it be in the Turkish league, whether it be in domestic leagues, they have born winners. Yeah. And they know how to do it. I mean, Osimhen in that first half was telling us about. You look at those senior players we had out, like the proper seniors. You got Fraser Forster, who's like it or not, he's a senior player. Yeah. Been a very good goalkeeper at Celtic. Obviously did well at Southampton. He's come as number 2. You got James Maddison, who is, and I keep saying with James Maddison, I don't think he's a leader. He's experienced. That's the word. We are. Spurs are using the word leadership.
He's not a captain.
There you go. It's that. But
we had the guy who runs the book club, Ben Davis.
Listen, but again, we have. This is the thing. We don't have the winners in there to say, right, look at me. I've won this. I've done this. You got Heung-min Son. Obviously, you got Cuti Romero, World Cup winner, but he was unavailable. And just to wrap up that first half, Victor Osimhen was just running through us, wasn't he? Yeah. Like a knife through butter. You cannot leave a man of his ability with the opportunities to have and not get punished, can you, Johnny?
No, you can't. And like Mertens, I mean, look, Osimhen's going to get the headlines there, but Dries Mertens
was wreaking havoc.
He was wreaking havoc in the middle of the park, and you know, I actually thought, to be honest with you, that our midfield would do a lot better. But he dropped him behind. He played in the role that I always thought Maddison was going to play. Drop him behind the front two, and slot those balls through. And Yilmaz did very, very well in the middle of the park there. I'm about reacting as a manager. I never forget when was it Mourinho who took off
Dyer.
Eric Dyer?
Yeah.
You know, early doors.
And put on Ericsson.
And put on Ericsson. You know, you've seen Ferguson do it. You see top managers do it, and we were being carved apart, and nothing happened. Nothing happened, and nothing was going to happen. And this is where, you know, I'm not looking to slag off. I want Ange to succeed, but you know, call your players over. There was plenty of breaks in play. They were going down every 2 bloody seconds.
Yeah.
Call the players over and say, look, let's adjust something here because they're coming through the middle. What can we do? Nothing was done, and half-time made it worse.
Okay, so half-time, 3-1 down. We all chatted in the watch-along, and thank you to everyone that was watching it with us. We were seeing what we wanted to see, or saying what we wanted to see, and then obviously, Ben, I'm going to come to you because the subs came out.
Embarrassing substitutions.
We're going to come on to Ange at the end of this, and then obviously do remember, people, shortly after this we will be having the post-match fan show where you can come on and have your say and speak to us. The subs, people, you didn't understand. It was a bit of a question mark, wasn't it?
I don't think anyone understood those substitutions. To take off your 2 most attacking players and put on midfielders is that when you're 3-1 down, it said we didn't want to win the game of football.
I mean, but how can you blame them? How could you take them off and blame them when they never got any service?
We left Bergvall on, who was very, very quiet in that game. And it's not a disservice to Bergvall. He is a young player. He is a very young player coming into top-level competition for the first time, playing mostly in the Swedish league. And he wasn't great today. He really wasn't great, and it was a bit deer in the headlights. So you bring on your experience and you try and grind the game out. But by taking off our most attacking players and leaving Lancashire on to really fend for himself a lot of that. And I think it was very, very, very poor substitutions.
Do you not think it's weird that the best moments we had in that entire game was when we took off Maddison and Bergvall, and when we had 10 men, and we put on Papasar and Bentancur.
Well, Johnny, this is where I was going to go with you. It's like literally things weren't looking right.
Yeah.
Without 10 men, obviously the subs are made that we wanted to see.
Yeah.
Bentancur came on, who definitely added something.
100%.
Papasar came on. Solanke came on.
Yeah.
Obviously, we go down to 10 men.
Yeah.
Harsh for Will, but then obviously we get a second goal with Dominic Solanke, and it looked like this game was open.
Yeah.
I will say very quickly as well, the first half we started the way we ended the first half, but after that Spurs did show signs of improving with 10 men, didn't they? They really, really did. It looked like we might be able to get that draw, but it became a very, very open end-to-end.
Yeah.
But they did look a little bit more clinical and a little more menacing when they were going forward than us, didn't they, Johnny?
Yeah, they did. I mean, there was a moment there, probably their best moment was when Papasar had an option. He had 2 options to put the ball through, a simple pass for him, and he miscalculated it, which is a shame. I'm not going to hold that against him. But it's ridiculous. So when we seem more composed and more relaxed and more in charge of the game, yes, they took off Mertens in the front too. But saying that, I think, you know, there's that bit of tension when it's 3-2. You outplay this team.
Throw the kitchen sink at them. We were still
we're playing
out the back, slowly, methodically. We need a goal.
You know, you've got Kulu who's powerful up front. You've got Dom Solanke who's powerful up front. You know, go long. And the most frustrating is injury time. You get the free kick.
Yep.
Put the ball in the net. Hail Mary. Curling ball. Porro on the ball. Curling ball.
Make them
do something.
Right. So, you know what? This is going to be the final thing we talk about, and this is going to go on for a little bit because I can only imagine what Twitter is doing right now.
Oh, for sure.
I can only imagine what Spurs social media across the board and people everywhere. This is going to come up with people talking about the manager again because it's always. But I also want to say this as well. I still am I will not turn my back on Ange, and I am not starting anytime soon. I will always back the manager. But like I said against Crystal Palace now, yes, you can say, and Brighton, yes, you can say the manager got this wrong, the manager did this. Some of these players have to take responsibility. Yes, they've been asked to play away by a manager. You've seen it before where teams are under the cosh, they see the game out, or they just try and get control of the game. We cannot keep saying, "Oh, manager's got this wrong," and just as much as I can't keep saying, "Oh, the players need to step up." There needs to be accountability from both manager and players, and some players there I don't think should have been on the pitch, and that I go down. I can say it as Ange.
I would say to you, I would totally agree with Crystal Palace. You know, the players had to look at themselves in that game, but tonight, when you know you're up against 3 top players up front, and you've got a defence that is a makeshift defence. Let's make no bones about it, right? A makeshift defence in that partnership, and then in front of them, you put 2 players who are weak defending in Bergvall and Maddison, and you leave Basuma on his own. Is it any wonder? So tonight, for that first half and the choosing of that team, I blame Ange. But I thought, you know what? I know what Ange is going to do. Ange is going to change it at half time, and he's going to bring on Kulu, and he's going to bring on Bentancur and Papassar, and those 2 are going to go off. I was convinced of it. I would have put money on it. What I didn't see was taking off our only outlets on both sides. And for that, and this time, Brian, I will blame Ange. And I want Ange to succeed. But whilst we can praise Ange, look, we're here to comment on these games game to game. Okay? You know, it's not the end of the season, so we can only go game to game. And this game, in my opinion, he got it drastically wrong.
The only thing, Ben, before I go to you to see what you think, I think the only thing that I would say with Ange that has got wrong is I said it before, I said it on We Are Tottenham TV when I was here the Monday. I wanted to see the experience, the real men to stand up and say, right, we're going to come here, we're going to deliver, or not, maybe not deliver, but the men. It wasn't about the youngsters and flair. For me today, it was about having the players with a bit of passion, with a bit of strength, 100%. A bit of metal, a bit of steel, a bit of to see it through. It's not always you've got to have the most skillful, the best, the quickest, the strongest, whatever.
Correct.
Sometimes you need the mentality.
Yeah.
And again, there's some players on that pitch that are playing that when push comes, when like I said, when things are all good, like we're playing football against Aston Villa, everyone give me the ball, I want a piece of it. Yeah. But as soon as we are under pressure like that,
they're all hiding like shadows.
Who would you? Can I ask you a question? Who would you say hid? I don't think they hid. I just didn't think they played well. If I was going to, Maddison,
we went from being too width heavy to being too middle heavy. Yeah. It was chalk and cheese. Instead of making 2 subs, maybe make 1 sub. You did not need to take off both Sonny and Johnson. You didn't need to take them both off. Maybe a little tweak in the midfield. Bring on Bentancur first for maybe either Maddison or Bergvall, and then later in the game, then you can think about.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question, guys? What do you actually think is going on here with Sonny? Because I'm one to criticise Sonny when he's not playing great, but I don't think you can blame Sonny. Was he involved in that first half? No.
He was. He was part of the build-up to the first goal.
He was part of the build-up, but he wasn't massively involved, and neither was Johnson, apart from the set-up for the goal, for the assist. But I don't blame any of those front 3 because they got absolutely nothing. They got less than nothing. 7 touches, Lancashire had in that first half. So why make him a scapegoat? Is this gonna mean that Sonny, with what's going on, what happened last week when he was dragged off the pitch, looked very unhappy? Yeah. I couldn't see how he reacted because he was taken off at half time. But do you think he took that well?
Listen,
the captain being taken off at half time?
Listen, the thing is as well, we've got to be very careful here because with Sonny, we saw what happened at Villa. Ange said at 55 minutes, he's in the. We're monitoring him. We're keeping him. We have to keep him fit. Remember, he's playing this game. He'll probably play against Ipswich. Then he's going on international duty to his career, and we have to monitor. We've seen how effective he is for us and how important he is to us. Because when he doesn't play, the leaders don't turn up. We've seen our difference when Sonny is on that pitch as captain, and when he's not. He is an integral part. But he just couldn't get in the game today.
But how many times have you seen Sonny? We've all seen it where you think, look, Sonny's not really at it today. And then, boom, out of nothing,
goal.
Produces a bit of magic, bang. And, I just found it really visible. We weren't sitting here at any stage during that first half, as much as I can think, and thinking to myself, oh my God, Sonny and Johnson and Lancashire are a nightmare. Yeah. All our concentration, all our thoughts were, the midfield's too weak, it's coming through us, and they're trying to expose poor old Archie Gray on the left, and
I think he had a very good game as well.
Archie Gray did.
He had a very good game against adversity left by him by his teammates.
Well, I would say the final thing we will mention about this, because I think this guy deserves an incredibly special mention, as if we were doing anger management. Yves Bissouma, from when we were under the cosh at the beginning, we saw on the TV, we saw he was trying to calm the players down. I think that was probably one of his best games.
Yes.
In a Spurs shirt, period. Period. I think he
90 minutes.
He was absolutely outstanding, and he showed. Do you know what? He showed leadership. He showed spirit. He showed fight. He was.
Him and Bentancur both showed a lot of character.
And they're both vying for the same position, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it looked like today the two
Play
of them
both. You don't need.
Well, that's an option.
You don't have to play with two number 10s every single game. Sometimes you can be a bit more defensive, and sometimes you can be a bit more attacking. Today was not a game where you play two weak number 10s against
100%
two pit bulls. Torreira, we talk about Torreira being
small, but
he's a pit bull. He's a pit bull, and he's a strong pit bull.
And Yilmaz as well.
Yep, another one.
Listen, but before we go,
look, there's one word. Tiny bit naive.
Yeah, I will say as well, before we wrap up now, because we're going to wrap up shortly, but we will be back with the fan show, like I said, is Galatasaray did play well. Galatasaray were ruthless. Galatasaray took their chances and they punished us. But listen, we are going to wrap up
Unbeaten this season.
There you go.
This season, Brian.
We are going to wrap up the instant match reaction now. We'll probably be back in 15-20 minutes with the fan show, which is your opportunity to come on. The link will be in the community section. Guys, thank you for joining us. All of you, thank you for joining us. And I will just finally say, like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, come on you Spurs.